Hey everyone, and welcome to the My Hero Wears Camo How to Bake Stuff to Send in Jars. First, you're going to need half pint jars, any brand. You're going to need your favorite box of brownie mix. I've chosen to use that kind. You're going to need some spray for the jars. I like to use Baker's Joy, and you're going to need to preheat your oven to 315 degrees. Take your jars and spray them evenly from top to bottom. Hi, this week I'm going to be giving everybody a tutorial on how to make brownies in jars to send overseas. The first thing that you need to get is a box of brownie mix. I like to use this kind. I found it works best, tastes best. Make up your batter or whatever it is you're going to make the way it says. As that's being made, make sure that you preheat your oven to 315 degrees. While you are making the brownies the way that the box says, we're going to be cooking it at a lower degree because the brownies will be thicker and in a smaller portion, so you want it to bake differently. You want it to bake more evenly and not as quickly. Otherwise, if you bake it at what it says on the box, it will probably end up burning. So 315, make your stuff, and then after you're done with that, or before, you want to make sure that you have your jars on a cookie sheet, spaced apart as so. As they're spaced apart, I like to use Baker's Joy. Spray the inside of each jar. You want to make sure that it's covered from top to bottom. This time around I ran out, so I used Pam on a couple. You can kind of see the difference between Baker's Joy and Pam. Pam is very buttery. Baker's Joy is more like flour and sticks to the side of it, and it will be a lot better for the brownies or cake to come out of the jar. So we're going to make sure of the difference, but I've always had more success using this stuff. So while you're doing that, you want to make sure that you save the box that your jars have come in. We're using half pint jars. I like to use the ball. It doesn't matter if they're quartz or crystal or whatever. You just want to make sure you're using half pint jars. Save this thing. This fits perfectly, well just about perfectly, in a medium flat rate box. So you can fit that in there, and then all of your jars will fit in there just perfectly. So our oven is just about preheated. We're going to take this and we're going to fill up these jars about half to 3/4 of the way full. It's a little messy. Do your absolute best to keep your batter in the jar and not on the sides. You're going to have to wipe off any excess around the sides before you bake. Otherwise, the moment you take the jars out of the oven, you're going to need to find a way to get all of the excess off around it so your lids will seal. So we're going to put just a little bit more in here. That's probably a little bit too full, but we'll see how full that one gets. We're going to do the next couple ones a little bit less, probably more so half full. As you're filling these, as you put these in the oven, you want to make sure that the ends are all clean. You don't want any batter around the edges. And you want to make sure that your lids are sitting nearby. The very moment that you take these jars out of the oven, while they're still hot, you'll be putting the lids on them. So we're going to put a little bit more in these. Each one will be about halfway full. And then we'll be sticking them in the oven for about 50 minutes. Don't fill them up 3/4, fill them up 2/3, 2/3 to a half. So, as you can see, the jars are about as full as they're going to get. So about 2/3 to a half. And they're equally consistent. You want to go through and clean off the sides of each jar. You don't want any residue around the sides when you bake them. Otherwise, you won't be able to get a good seal on your jars when they get out of the oven. So after each jar is wiped off, and you know that they're going to be clean, put them in your preheated oven. for 1 box of mix, I only got to fill 8 jars. If you plan on filling all 12, it will take approximately 2 boxes. Make sure that it's as centered in the oven as you can, and that as they're in there, they're still spaced apart. Put them into bake. I'm going to set my timer for 45 minutes and then check them after 45. Usually takes between 45 minutes to an hour. It kind of vary depending on the thickness, the brand, the quality, but I've usually figured it takes about 45 minutes to an hour. The moment that they come out, we're going to have these lids ready. And while they're hot, the very moment that they come out, we're going to seal them with these lids. The heat will seal them automatically. The only problem with that is that you got to be very quick about it. At the same time, if there's anything else that you want to stick on top of your finished cake or brownies, keep in mind that the jars will be hot. I have fresh baked cookies. You can usually break apart cookies or anything of the nature. Stick it on top of your finished product as you're pulling them out and putting the lids on. This will it'll still create a seal, and it would also give you the opportunity to stick something else inside of the jar besides what you're baking.
Go.
And then we're going to test these and see if they're done. That's pretty done to me. So I just took this out of the oven. I'm going to very carefully grab this, seal this on as quickly as I can. It's going to be very, very hot, and the lids are going to get extremely hot while you're doing so. Do it as tight as you can, but without burning yourself. Set that to the side and it will seal itself. One by one, take them out, pop a lid on, and seal them up. Do it as quickly as you can because that gets hot fast. Grab one. Say for instance you want to put something on top of it. I'm just going to set some cookie on top there. I grab a lid, put it up. Don't grab the jar. That's really hot. And then it will seal itself. You're going to do this in each jar until you are done. After they are done, you will start to hear a popping sound. Popping is them sealing. Another way that you'll know is you can press the center of it, and when you don't feel the indentation anymore, that's how you know that it's got an airtight seal. So after every single jar is out of the oven, tightly has a lid on it. We're going to let them cool, and as they cool, they will seal. After all your jars are cooled and sealed, you have the option of decorating them. One thing I always found to be fun and neat to do is to get extra pieces of fabric, cut them out to be a square, and decorate the jars as so. Say if, for instance, this was a hot jar, it had something in it. You had your lid on it, it completely sealed up. Take the lid off, leaving this part on the jar. Of course, it will have its seal around it. As long as you take off the ring and leave that on there, it will still have its seal. You have the option of cutting out fabric to your specifications. I always found it fun to use patriotic fabric. You can set it over the top, take your ring, and your ring will still screw onto the jar like it normally would. There we go. Then you have a fun, patriotically decorated jar. Only decorate your jars after they have cooled down and have officially sealed. These ones are starting to seal because I don't feel, oh, that one I felt it. You won't feel it, but you want to let them cool down. You should hear a pop. Once they're officially cooled down, if you don't feel the indentation, they are sealed. You are free to decorate. Then after you decorate, you're free to send them off. As you can see, 12 jars fit perfectly in a medium-sized box. Once again, half-pint jars, 12 of them fit perfectly in a medium-sized box. You'll have to make sure that you pad the top of them. As you can hear them popping now. You have to make sure that you can pad the top of the box and pad the sides and the corners. I like to use excess paper towels because it's cheap and easy. Just stuff it down in between each jar. I'm only going to show you with one. I don't want to waste a whole pack of paper towels, but as you can see, if you pad between each jar with paper towels, it's cheap and it works easily. Once you have it padded between each jar and on top, it's safe to seal up and send overseas. Please keep in mind that these boxes will be tossed, so they want to be padded around as much as possible. You can feel free to decorate each jar and do as you please.